the home is your biggest support network that you've got. Like, so your home should not only make you feel safe, physically feel safe. The classic saying, if you've got a roof over your head. And, that's obviously one really important aspect to it. But then it should be supporting you emotionally and spiritually as well. And then that's where you get to create amazing memories, and your life can expand.
Hey, and welcome to the 20-Year Gap with your hosts, Kylie and Casey. We're two women with a 20-year age gap who give our generational perspectives on business, life, and everything in between. If you haven't yet done so, we'd love for you to hit follow, and while you're at it, please give us a rating so our podcast can grow organically and we can help reach more people. You'll find us at the 20-Year Gap on all your favorite social platforms. And now, let's jump into today's episode.
Alrighty. So, today's guest is Kathryn Trentini of Trentini Design, a multi-award winning interior design studio. Kathryn specialises in interior decorating, structural and architectural alterations. Oh my gosh, the words for you, Kathryn, are really hard to get your tongue around. Custom design joinery, selecting and curating of art pieces, and has a strong network of professionals she collaborates with to not just ensure that the interior of the home is functional, but the exterior is also functional and works with the family home. So actually what Kathryn does is she makes a home look bloody beautiful and functional for the family and the pets. That's what I really wanted to say, but I put all those like pretty
Fancy
words for your industry. Did I miss any?
Look, there's a whole stack of words that can describe what I do, but I think you did beautifully.
Oh, God. So the reason why we've got Kathryn in today is because interior design and architectural stuff it's all about that passion. Like the arts area is very much about a passional. See, now I'm really flustered with those big words.
Okay, I've been waiting to do this. You didn't stuff up too badly, so I wanted to go. Carry on.
There's always time. So my first question for you is, when did you actually discover that you had this passion for interior design and just working with people to create these beautiful functional spaces?
That is a question I think I ask myself a lot. I discovered something about myself the other day, that I'm definitely a tortoise and not a hare.
Right.
So things come to me quite slowly and methodically. But if I think back to it, I really do think it was like as a little kid, and my pop always had these, like, to me as a little kid, I think they were like little tools that I don't know where he'd gotten them from. They could just be standard size tools. I have no idea. But as a kid, I was probably like 8, 9, something like that. And he would let us go into his shed and like get the old timber pieces and these kid-friendly tools, and we would build stuff.
Right.
And honestly, I think I was maybe like I'd be there the whole time, and everyone else had like just nicked off and started doing something else. But I'm still there like hammering away and like trying to saw little bits of, old timber or whatever that he had. But that's probably like maybe my earliest memory. But throughout, my whole childhood and then, into my early adulthood, I always had a real keen interest in how things were like put together. So, and particularly buildings. Like, I really think I wanted to be a carpenter, but when I was leaving school, girls didn't become carpenters. So, yeah.
And so this was your next best thing, or this just became a passion that you just went, oh my gosh, I really do fit this space. Did you go into it immediately after school, or?
No. I've done quite a few other things before coming to interior design. And to answer your question, no, I don't see it as like a second best at all. If I'm really honest with myself, that is probably where I would have ended up anyway. maybe like whatever path it was, I was pretty much going to end up here. So, no. So, I mean, I've worked at local government level. I've run another business before coming to interior design. And you see how that like kind of traditional upbringing coming through, this is only my kind of third career. Second business that I've owned, but my first kind of passion that I have been able to actually follow. And to get to this point has been quite a long, hard road as well.
Right. So you've had some challenges along the way to come into this industry.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think like most people who arrive at, who actually kind of are able to articulate what it is that they're really passionate about, and are able to follow that dream regardless of what kind of obstacles are in the way. Yeah, there's been quite a lot of obstacles. Like there's been relationships, there's been locations, there's been businesses. So there's been a lot that, you know, if you kind of like look at it and you're trying to navigate a path through, really all I could do was like one step after another to get to the point where it was like, boom, now I can go and study. So that was pretty cool.
Right.
Yeah.
That is very, very cool. Did you?
Yeah. So what is the path to becoming an interior designer? Like, did you go to university, or is it a college trade, or how do you just go from deciding, all right, I want to do interior design, to actually starting? Did you start your own business straight up, or did you work for someone?
No. So, I mean, like any kind of profession, there's a couple of ways that you can get there. The way that I chose, because I was like a little bit impatient as well, I think because of my age, because I felt like I was coming to this really late in the piece. And so I was quite impatient, but I always knew that I wanted to have a qualification to back me up, and then to draw on that knowledge. And like any kind of qualification that you get, you're thrown in, you learn it all, and then you actually learn on the job. So so for me, I actually took myself off to Sydney and did my advanced diploma, but I opted to do it in 12 months. So it was like really full on. So I was like working remotely, full time, running a business, as well as a beef cattle farm, and then living in Sydney and studying full time. So it was a pretty hectic, full on 12 months for me. But I don't think I would have survived if I'd gone for longer than 12 months. So, yeah, the dropout rate is epic in those courses, like because it is so full on. Like you really have to know, excuse me, you really have to know that is actually what you want to do because it is just so in your face, and like your upskilling is just incredible. Yeah, so I chose to do that course, and then I came back home. So I relocated back here, and there were no interior designers. I mean, I just like, if I think about it, it's just absolutely bonkers that I thought I could go off and get this diploma or this advanced diploma and then work. So then it was that whole process of, okay, now you're starting like a brand new business. And while you do have some business skills, it's really the other business that I was running at that point in time was a product-based one, and then this is a services-based one, and it's not a necessity, you know, so there's like, it was just completely different. And to get off the ground, you know, to start getting work, to build a portfolio, because that's what everyone wants to see. They want to see, what is your actual work? What do you do? Why would I bring you on board? And when you're brand new, that's really tough.
Did you actually know what your signature was then? Like, did you have
No. All I think I knew was that I was really, really good at solving problems.
Right.
And there was just something so amazing about exploring, you know, different materials and different finishes, and how you can bring all that together. And then, you know, as I've progressed further and further in my career, It's what's that feeling and how do you create that for someone with it being really effortless as well. So it looks uncreated, but there's so much thought and effort and time that goes into it.
And I think that's when somebody walks into a space and they feel like it's all about the feeling for me too. And you said it when you walked in this morning. It's just like there's this energy that you can actually create with a home. And I guess I can walk into a display home and it looks beautiful, but it doesn't feel like a home.
No, there's no soul.
No. But I've walked into your home and it has so much soul. It's like almost singing. It's like beautiful. It's beautiful. It's just so lovely. And you feel at home. You sit down and there's nothing around you that, I don't know, it's just there's no distraction. It's just.
Yeah, that's the way it should make you feel. It should, you know, because I think what I've come to learn from working with so many families is the home is your biggest support network that you've got. Like, so your home should not only make you feel safe, you know, physically feel safe, you know, the classic saying, if you've got a roof over your head. And, you know, that's obviously one really important aspect to it. But then it should be supporting you emotionally and spiritually as well. And then that's where you get to create amazing memories, you know, and your life can expand. So that support that is built into a home, it's like, it just blows my mind. And it blows my mind that I'm like, am I the only one out here, you know, seeing this? And I'm like, I know that I'm not, but you know, when you discover something new and then you're like, oh my God, it's just like really amazing, that you can articulate it now. So for years and years and years, you know, I'm trying to like put my finger on what is this? You know, I can make you feel amazing in your home. I don't need to make you feel amazing. You make yourself feel amazing. What I do is design that support network around you so that you can go and, you know, live an expanded life, you know, build on yourself. So I feel really privileged to be able to do that for people.
Yes.
That just gives me tingles.
Does it?
Look at the goose ears. That's beautiful.
That is.
Yeah, it gets me like that too, I have to say, yeah.
Do you have much, my mom's a big feng shui type person. Like, do you build things around the principles of feng shui, or do you believe in that, or?
No, okay, there's probably like a yes and a no there.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that what I do, the principles are there, but I don't follow specifically a set of rules. I really do design intuitively on some level as well. And like, honestly, sometimes I scare myself because I'm like, I'm not sure how they, like, let's say just like a really easy example, like pulling together a colour palette. And there's something in me that's just like, boom, we need that and we need that and this, and bring them all together. And then I start to panic. Like, after the intuition has told me this is what you need to bring into it, I then start to, I don't do it anymore, start to second guess myself as to what happened there. Like, I don't really understand what I did. It always ends up, you know, stunning, and it's exactly what the client wants, but
You're very hard on yourself.
I think we all tend to go into that second guessing stage because you want it to be perfect. So when
you
it
really
comes
do.
yeah,
you really do. But also, I don't live there.
Yeah.
And so this is someone else's home that I'm helping them create. And so it's quite a big responsibility. And I think sometimes I really do take it on a little bit too much. Like, I take that on a little bit, you know, can go a little bit overboard with that. But I think if I don't maintain that, then I can become trend driven. I can, you know, just try and try and get to a point where it's like, oh, that's like the cool tile that everyone's using, or, you know, that's that would make a great magazine shot or whatever. And you're like, yeah, it's got nothing to do with that. Really, at the end of the day, yeah, that's kind of like all periphery, and that's a little bit of a industry pat on the back, but that's not not what it's about.
So I guess it doesn't always have to be Insta focused. You know how everyone's got this Instagram. I just need to have this space that I take my photo and I look at my space and I take a photo of that and I show it to the world and it looks Insta perfect. So that doesn't drive you.
That is so not me. That is so not me.
Yeah.
The people who help me with my social media are constantly asking me to do selfies and photo. Not constantly. I shouldn't say that. But I'm like, wow. I literally can go through the whole day and I don't even think about it because it's more for me. I cannot convey through an image what a feeling is.
Right.
So I kind of then just go, whatever. Like I'm probably the worst interior designer to have a social media presence ever.
Yeah, see, that's where you and I are quite different because not that I don't agree with that 100%, but I'm very big into social media and understanding using social media, how to use social media to grow a business. But anyway, I had a different question. What is kind of a time frame that you do? Do you go in and do one room or do you go in and do an entire house? We've been watching a show which we've become obsessed with called The Home Edit, which is slightly different.
I've heard about it.
Yeah. I mean, it's slightly different. They just reorganize and neaten up everything, but they'll go in and do one specific room. How does that work? If a client contacts you, what's generally the thing that you do for them?
Okay. Wow, that question's like, how long is a piece of string? So, it really all depends on the brief. So what the client actually needs help with, I guess. So if the client is needing help with, say, our bathroom's falling apart and we need to take care of that, then obviously we will be looking just at that space. I think the way that I've run my business though, and the clients that are attracted to the way that I work, they're really looking for a complete overhaul of their entire home. And it can be because it's not supporting them, it's not suiting the way that they live so I guess quite often I get called in and it's like, just do the bathroom. And then I think because of the way that I work, it will generally move on from that. And then they're like, okay, well, we're kind of thinking about maybe next year doing this, this and this. And so generally, the brief will expand. But it really does just depend on what the client wants. So, but everything starts off with and I'm quite, not hung up on it, but we always need to do an initial consultation because that is the point where two humans get to meet and we decide during that meeting whether we are the right people to work together, because it is a two-way street when you work with an interior designer. There's a lot of trust that you have to hand over to someone else. If someone has a little bit of difficulty letting go, as in handing the reins over to someone else, that trust needs to be built. And through the process leading up to presentation, that's where we have a lot of conversations and I know that, it feels just like a bit of a chit chat to a lot of people, the questions, but there's so much information that I can get out of someone. Actually, the other day someone said, oh my God, I should take a photo of my bathroom and send it to you, but I need to clean it up. And I'm like, why would you do that? Because what's out and what's not working for you is all there in that image for me to understand what is not working for you at this point in time and what I need to help you, bring a solution to the space in order for you, to basically reduce your stress levels. Because
that makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah.
Because I know that most people, they want to tidy up before somebody comes, but particularly you, right? So when you arrived, I'm like, don't look at the rest of it. Just come in here.
I know. Do you know how many times I get told that every time I walk into someone's house, I'm like, oh my God, it's so not about what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
It's about how, do you have a smile on your face? Are you happy? What kind of energy do you have? And quite often I will walk into people's homes and it's like, the energy is just not good because they just cannot get the right vibe going. Yeah.
And I guess and that's what makes it a home, right? From a
Oh
show
my
home
gosh,
that looks
yeah.
amazing, that has everything in its right places, and you could be absolutely proud when somebody comes to visit. But you're right, there may not be a smile on that face.
There probably won't be a smile on that face because they have probably spent 2 or 3 hours packing everything away. And you're like, why are you packing stuff away? Like, this is not good because it should just be easy. You know, living in your own home should be easy. It shouldn't be hard.
And I guess it give you a good idea of what people use most of the time,
Yeah.
like what they have out, like, and they have
Definitely.
access to most of the time. So then okay, you need to put these things in more accessible, easy to pack away areas, I guess. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. And look, and that all comes down to all of those conversations that I will have with a client. You know, it starts right from the beginning of the day. Like, what happens for you when you first get up? Like, you know, what does that look like for you? So what do we need? What kind of storage do we need? What do you access every day, et cetera, et cetera? And then you might be all flying out the door. And so, yeah, it's just that whole kind of spectrum of what it is that they need in order to serve them,
Yeah.
I guess, yeah.
You must have so much fun shopping. Like, once you've done the design, like how and where do you shop? Because I'm like an IKEA crazed person. If there's an IKEA somewhere by, I just want to go and walk around and have a look.
Do you?
I do, yeah. I love it. So you must have so much fun just doing the shopping, or do you order things online, or how do you?
Yeah, so the projects that I work on will generally be custom pieces. So, and when I talk about custom pieces, it's like you can choose like your fabric, your timber, what stain do you want on the timber, or do you want aluminium legs, what kind of powder coating do you want? So it's pulling all the little bits and pieces together for one piece. Yeah. And I do love shopping, I have to say. I love shopping for the home, absolutely. But it has to be with intention. So I'm not really the kind of person that will just sort of, you know, head out and I don't browse. So there always has to be, for me, like I'm a pretty terrible shopper right from a kid. I remember my mum dragging me and my sisters like to Fossey's, I think it was, like because we were in Forbes.
Showing
right?
your age now.
Yeah. I think it was like Fossey's. And I would literally be the kid that would look around for a rack where I could go and sit underneath. That was me. That was me shopping. So I'm not good as a general shopper, but when I have, you know, a project that I'm working on or an intention, you know, I want to find this specific thing. Oh my God, I do not give up. Like I just get so laser focused. It's ridiculous. I can lose hours trying to find like the perfect fabric. But then the combinations, and I guess like it is a lot of fun because as you're like once the kind of structural stuff is taken care of and which is actually really the most important stuff, I should say, like the layout, the traffic flow, how clearances are working, how people will naturally move through a space. So once you've got all that down pat, and say you're working on like the finishes or like, I mean, I did this amazing bedroom last year for a family and I got to put in this like just super crazy wallpaper with like a beautiful velvet fabric, and we had like built-in bench seats, so there was like custom, you know, seat fabrics on those. And so pulling all of that together and just seeing all that, you know, kind of come out of my head and into a design is, yeah, it's like, it is seriously the coolest feeling ever.
Do you ever take your clients with you shopping?
Never.
Yeah, because they would be really distracting, wouldn't they? And they'd find other things that wouldn't quite fit your vision.
They're not distracting. they can be indecisive because there's so much. Like I remember, and I learnt this really early in my career. I helped my brother and my sister-in-law. They were looking to renovate their house, and I made the mistake of telling my sister-in-law to go and look at this bath. Right. So I'd already picked the bath, and I said, just go and have a look at it. It's like just around the corner. And she said she just walked in and felt so overwhelmed, and then was like, thank God I knew that I just had to go and look at that one bath, because there's so many options. You know, if you Googled wall tiles, like it's crazy. It is just bonkers. So, and, you know, there's so much competition to get you to use their product. So, and I'm trained, you know, and sometimes I can feel a little bit overwhelmed, but, you know, there's a method that I use so that the feeling of being overwhelmed. I mean, I remember being a student and just feeling so overwhelmed with choice. And then I worked out, all right, that's why we do a mood board, because we look back at that all the time. Yeah, and it's not a mood board, I think, like most people think of as a mood board with actual products on it. It's really, it's quite, what's the word? Can't think of the word. Anyway, so my mood boards evoke a sense of feeling that's going to come into the space, but it still shows me, is it fluid? So do I need curves, or is it very angular? So we bring straight lines in, and then are there patterns that are coming out? Are there particular colours that are being thrown at me because of the mood board? And so that's how I go, okay, well, I already know that I need a tile that, say, is a large format. So because of my mood board. So I think early in my career, I learnt that. And so that overwhelming feeling that you can get when you have so much choice. So, you know, it has gone. And then also, you know, as you become more understanding of how to draw that information out of a client, I can walk away and already think, awesome, we're going to be doing this, we're going to be putting that in there. So, yeah, I think you just, you know, shave off so much insecurity.
So that trust and handing over that creative license fully, like literally, if you don't take them shopping, I guess you share with them the mood board and you talk about the vision and where it's going. Mm-hmm. But as a client, if they're not creative minded at all, there's a lot of people that look at like a builder's plan, you know, just the lines, but they can't actually see the space. How do you communicate with that client to bring your vision into a non-creative thinker? How does that work?
Sure. So, I mean, there's quite a few different ways that that you can do that, and that I do. So it really does depend on, as you say, like the type of person. If they're pretty good at imagining, that's always like really helpful. But you know, I have worked with people who don't have that kind of good imagination as to, particularly if there's like walls in the way. Yeah. That's a pretty tough one. But so my process is, so after initial consultation and we get underway, there's a whole stack of information that I request back from the client that shows me so much about what it is that they want that they cannot articulate themselves. And then from that point, we hold a trade day, which is where all of our trades that we think we're going to need for this project all come on site, all on the one day, and we get a lot of work done. It's pretty difficult to organise, but they're just so valuable. And then after trade day, so from that point, I'm kind of off, and I'm not sure what it feels like from the client side of things. I keep in touch with them with a weekly update, but I kind of go into my own space. Which is where all my creativity comes out. So I allow myself the opportunity to design, and that's sort of like a 6 to 8 week period. So I'm off hibernating. I'm not really kind of sure. It'd be so interesting to find out from the client what that feels like to be them. Because it must just feel like I've just gone off somewhere. And then I'm just sort of like once a week checking in with them. But during that time, everything is being designed, all the samples are being sent to me, it's all being priced, all the drawings are being done. If we need 3D perspectives, they're getting done. So we're building this entire complete picture for the client. And after that kind of 6 to 8 week period, it just sort of depends on the scope of works that we're looking at, we sit down for presentation. And that's when, that's when I guess the client sees what I've been up to for that period of time. And so we take them through, as in like floor plans and elevations. Here's what your space will look like on paper. And then we go through each area and we show them like the fabrics, the finishes, the fittings that go in, everything for each particular space. So it's sort of like a really intense meeting that can go for quite a few hours.
The thing that's going through my head though, if you go into hibernation for 6 to 8 weeks and you're traveling down this path of where you believe, like your initial consultation would have to be so incredibly thorough, because if you're investing 6 to 8 weeks into a thought process and a pathway and, into a design and a vision, and then you come back and you present it to the person and they go, oh, like that's not what I thought. Yeah,
so the initial consultation is just that.
Yeah.
It is let's get an idea of what the brief is going to look like. What do you want me to do for you? And then there are so many other conversations that happen. But there are no conversations where I allow any fabrics or finishes or anything that's going to happen with the design to come through. There is no, can you give me approval for anything? It's more about touching base with probably functionality. So at the moment I'm designing a kitchen and we're going from a 5 burner down to 3. And there was a little bit of, not anxiety, but there was a question. And so it was, okay, can you look over the weekend when you've probably got a lot more opportunity where you're cooking and just observe how many burners do you use and what are the sizes that you want. So they're the kind of conversations that we're having. And so I've developed a design quiz that I have to say is pretty amazing. It's obviously built for my brain, but it tells me it's kind of like a roadmap almost. And without the client even understanding what it is that they've even given me, it's all there for me to be able to interpret and then bring through into a design. So, so there's a lot of conversations that happen, but there's never a conversation about this is the sink we're going to use in your kitchen or this is the sofa that you're going to have. No, because as soon as you open that up for discussion. I remember I swear to God, I think I was like sacked so many times early on in my career. It was ridiculous. It's like a really, what do they call it? Like a Canadian sacking where it's like, you're just like, that's so good. We'll take it from here. Oh. That was the kind of, I got sacked quite a few times, I have to say, because I was looking for approval from the client all the time. And it was like, okay, so we've got, this is the flooring that we're going to have. And I'd bring 3 options. And they go, yeah, that's like, and I've already kind of got an idea in my head which one I like, right, or which one I think is going to work. And so I sort of lead them to it and they go, yeah, that's great. And then like the next week I'll be like, this is the type of fabric we're going to use for your curtains. And then imagine doing that 10, 12 times. And by this stage, the client's like, I literally cannot even remember if it's all going to go together. And so really you're just creating more chaos for them. They requested your help because they didn't want to think about that. And all I was doing was saying, well, I've taken, say 100 choices and I've brought it down to 3. Now you choose. Right. And they're like, why am I choosing?
And that's interesting too, because we always talk about looking for acceptance, and a lot of people go off track when they're looking for acceptance all the time, you're actually not speaking your true voice. You're not actually bringing your authenticity to the table, and that's why people are attracted to you, because you do have that authenticity about you that you're going to say, this is what it's going to be. If you want my professional help, here it is.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, if we do look for that acceptance all the time, and it doesn't matter which industry,
No.
you fall flat.
You really do, and it really, oh my God, so much energy is just given away for that. Whereas, the process that I follow now allows me to reserve all that energy to put into that design in order to be able to give those homeowners like exactly what they want, and they didn't even know it. So it was totally crazy at the beginning, and I'm like, what am I not doing? But anyway, I'm kind of glad. So yeah, that I think I got sacked many times, to be honest. So, something had to change.
So tell me, do you have a special part of a house, like a special room in the house that you absolutely love? Like you get the most satisfaction out of that room?
Designing?
Like transforming a tired bedroom, for instance. And, we'll see. Is it the kitchen? Or is it just the whole thing?
I think it's just the whole thing.
Yeah.
I really think it is the whole thing. Yeah. And funnily enough, I mean, yes, the space is transformed. The space does go from feeling quite tired, probably a little bit unloved, and it could just be that it's just gotten to the point where it's run its course. And it really needs a good refresh. So the space does transform, but oh my God, honestly, it is seriously what happens to that family. And not during the process, I have to say, because during the process, I'm sure they just want to like kick my butt. Like, what have you done to us? Because it's super stressful. Not for me, because I love a building site, but it is very, very stressful to just, there is such a change in your life, and it's like that. Yeah. It is just so instant when someone's like, yeah, okay, I'm going to live here and you're going to renovate around me, and you're like, okay, that's good. Like, good luck with that. No, I'm kidding.
It's I've done it. It's hard. Like, we turned this from a 3-bedroom single level to a 2-story, and we lived here whilst the builders were on site, and it's hard.
The dust.
The dust. The dust. I forgot about the dust. I'm still it's been years and years and years, and I swear to God, I could probably still find some dust in the back of cupboards. It just
totally.
keeps settling.
Yeah. So I'm actually I'm in the process now of putting together like a something I can hand to the clients and say, but it really does take a conversation to try and get them to understand how hellish your life is going to be
and
from
I had
this
babies.
point forward. Yeah, right. So you're nuts.
I was ridiculously nuts.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
So going from, you don't really have a specific space that you like to transform, it's the whole thing. Casey's going into van life. She's just bought herself a van, and she's going to be fit. It's like there's nothing in it, is there? I mean, it was kind of started, but there's no structural stuff.
So it's just like a van.
Yeah, so it's very excited.
I have to say, like, that is so my I love designing small spaces.
Yeah.
Yeah, a van is like definitely on my checklist of things to do. I'm pretty excited for you, actually.
I think so. We've got the van, and I've been looking at photos and videos of vans for 2 years now. So I think I've kind of got an idea of what we want. So what we've done is we've actually mapped it out on the ground. So I've measured out, because I had a couple of prerequisites with the van. I wanted to make sure, number one, I had a walkthrough. So from the cab to the driver's seat. The only reason for that, and a lot of people take that out of vans because it actually gives you more space if you close up that wall. However, for safety reasons, if I'm parked somewhere that I don't feel safe, I want to be able just to jump straight into the seat and drive off instead of getting out of the car and running around. So that was my prerequisite. I wanted to be able to stand up, and it had to have a bathroom. So again, the moment you put a bathroom in, it takes up a lot of space, but that was just another prerequisite I had. So that whole half of the van is kind of taken up with that, and then everything else around, I'm building it with my parents, with my father, and there's been many a debate on the structure, and yeah, it's stressful.
So tell me, what a debate about what you should have in there, or how you're going to build it?
Yeah, so basically, I've wanted to do this van thing for years. And I came home, obviously, because of the pandemic. My plan was to buy the van in Canada and travel around in Canada. I was actually just going to buy a pre-made one. I wasn't going to try and build one over there.
Okay. Yep.
Just because I didn't have the space. I didn't have a house. I didn't have a tool. I was just coming off a ship. So the plan was I'd been speaking with people who build custom vans. Anyway, came back to Australia. And then once I realized, we're going to be in Australia for a little while. Like, there's going to be no international travel for a while. And I haven't really explored this beautiful country. So I started looking at vans, and I started telling my parents about my dream to do van life, and they were like, oh, that sounds good. Next thing, mom and dad have turned around and said to me, oh, guess what? We're going away for 6 weeks. We're hiring a van, and we're traveling all around the Northern Territory.
Nice.
And I'm like, oh, that's nice. That's nice.
You know what, though? They can just be like your guinea pigs, right? So they can tell you what they liked about the van, what they thought they would change.
But this is where the arguments have come in. So they went and did that, but the van that they had was slightly bigger than what I've got. It's those actual big Maori, those higher vans. So they're a little bit wider. But yeah, so they spent 6 weeks living in that. And then when they came home, I was still like, I'm looking for a van. I've been looking for one for ages, and a perfect one showed up online. And we've come to the agreement that we would purchase the van now. We would build it. I would pay for the build. I would pay for the repayments for while I'm using it. And then when I plan to go back overseas, it'll obviously become theirs.
Yep.
So they'll just take over everything. So obviously now they're looking at it as
Theirs.
And Dad's obviously going to help me with most of the building because he's like very handy with like wood and building and stuff. So now it's like we went into IKEA and I almost lost it at my mum when we were just looking for ideas. And she's like, we're going to do this and we got to have this and we're going to take that. And Dad's like, take photos of this way. And I'm like, no, no, I know what I want. So that's kind of where the argument's coming in, especially the bathroom. The bathroom's been the biggest argument because I can have something tiny. I'm used to tiny.
Yep.
So that there's more space for everything else. But they want like a meter by meter bathroom, which takes up a lot of space.
Too much space,
in my opinion. In my opinion, that's a lot of wasted space. But anyway, that's just... You must get that a lot. Do you get, like, conflicts between,
all
like,
the time.
family members?
Yes. Yeah, definitely. But I think, I think for me, I'm definitely seen as the negotiator. Yeah. So... really what it ends up coming down to, though, is that each party has just not been able to articulate what it is that they need. And there's always, like, it's not that there's compromise, but, hey, that's between them. That is, I'm not becoming involved in that. and that's probably, that definitely helps people, particularly if they've trying to have done the design themselves and now they're at a stalemate. To bring someone in with a fresh set of eyes is, I think, definitely worth saving their marriage for sometimes.
And I think that's the thing. There's an emotional attachment when it's yours, and when you're in that space, you're not emotionally attached at all. It's literally about functionality. It's literally about how the space works best for the needs. And the difference between yours and your parents is you're in your 20s, and I'm not sure what your parents are in, that's fine, but they're looking at their retirement kind of setup, and they want ease and they want comfortable and they don't want to feel crammed in. Whereas you're like, I'm like in my 20s and I can swivel on my toilet seat and it's okay. And that's always going to be the major trouble between the two of you and coming to that resolution.
Definitely, yeah. And also, when you're, if I can give you a little bit of a tip, when you're designing, don't just design for now. So, you know, you don't know how long you're going to have this van for. You might travel for a couple of years and then, you know, nick off overseas or whatever, and then your parents might have it for a couple of years or whatever. And then you might come back and go, you know what? And now all of a sudden, you know, like you might be in your early 30s, whatever, and so your priorities have changed. So definitely don't just design for today. That to me is a trend-driven design, and there's no kind of thinking about the future in that. So yeah, which is definitely a big thing for what I have to do because my designs definitely last longer than a year.
That's a very valid point. Now that you've said that, I'm like, okay, Mum and Dad, you're right.
But you don't have to tell them that.
No, no. Mum, Dad, you can't listen to this podcast. This one is not available.
So the other thing the reason why we had you on today as well is it's your birthday month, so happy birthday.
Thank you.
And I believe you've got a special offer for people this month.
I do, yes. So I was sitting at home on my birthday and I have no idea. I mean, so this, you know, we were talking about social media before and it's really not a comfortable area. I'm getting much more comfortable being in that space. But then, like, you look at the number of people that are following you and you're like, who are these people and why are they here? And why don't I know anything about them? And so, you know, there's only kind of so many, like, questions that I can throw out to try and get these answers that I'm looking for. And I thought, oh, you know what? Rather than just asking a question, I'm going to offer to help them. So, and I thought, yeah, why not do it? It's my birthday month, so I get to do, you know, whatever I want. And, you know, I guess within reason. Yeah, and so what I decided, I just decided to set myself a design challenge. And I have asked for people to send in photos of, like, something that just, like, really bugs them in their home at the moment. It can be a space, you know, like if it's the kitchen, the bathroom, or the bedroom, whatever. So take a photo of it and send it in to me. And please don't clean up before taking the photo because that just gives me a lot of information. Yeah, so take some photos, send it in to me, tell me what really annoys you about that space and what you actually want the space to be like once the design comes through. So out of all the images and the videos and everything that come in throughout the week, I'm going to pick one and then I'm going to work on the design for that.
Wow.
And then give that back to that person. So, and then they can go off and follow the advice if they want, or they don't have to follow the advice. So, but really, I guess it was like a challenge for me as well. So, in addition to doing the design build process for clients face to face, I also do just the design work for other clients who don't live locally, and I also do online design as well. So, and that's kind of like online design. So that's that sort of point where it would sit at. And so putting together a mood board, you know, showing them where they can shop, where to go to find the items that will bring that whole design together for them. And it's not saying like throw everything out and start again. It's saying what can we add or what can we subtract? I mean, a lot of the time it is doing the hard work yourself and decluttering. So that is seriously, if you do nothing else to a room, declutter and like you just feel amazingly light, and the energy in the space just improves because you're not stressed. You know, a tidy home just reflects what's happening inside. If you're crazy inside in your mind, hang on, I just got to fix these up. You know, like if you're feeling crazy in your mind, it's just going to be reflected in your home. So start from the other way around. Start tidying up your home, and it helps, you know, your stress levels come down. So, yeah, so it's kind of at that level where I want people to challenge me. I want to be I love doing this kind of stuff. I mean, I hate to say it, but I'm kind of that classic passionate person where I do live and breathe. And I feel very, very grateful and very lucky to have landed in this space where it's not hard. I mean, it is hard work. Don't get me wrong. It is one of the hardest things I've ever done is being an interior designer, but it's so rewarding. But yeah, it was just kind of, I was like, throw it out there. Let's see who comes back to me and let's see who I can help. And I'm a brilliant problem solver as well. So I want to be able to throw some of that in as well. Yeah.
That's amazing. I agree with that so much with my room in my office that I have at home. If that is messy, then I'm not as productive. I can't as even though I sit with my back facing most of it, I still know and I can feel the energy in the room if there's just too much stuff. And the moment I clean it, I have some of the most productive days or hours that I think I ever. So I definitely agree with the decluttering.
Totally on board with that one.
Totally on board with that one.
I have 2 teenagers and a husband that throw shit in the mix. Like it's hard work being a mum. And I used to be somebody that was super organised. Mum would probably disagree with that. But I like to have my things in place. Like I'm a Virgo. I do all that spinny around with the labels and they've all got to look pretty and stuff. And then I got married and my husband is a Gemini and that just does not work. So then you start to give in a little bit, otherwise you go crazy. Then I had children and there's like sometimes I feel like I almost need a room in my home that is my sanctuary.
Totally. And you can create one of those. That's just for you.
Here it is.
Yeah.
We put a lick of paint on the wall and we'll put the shelf back up and here it is.
But it's not even about creating a room in a home. It's just, it can be something that you pack away, that you unpack and you pack away. So it's really just about what is it that you need? And hey, this might only be, this could literally just be that 5 minutes in the morning where you get to enjoy your coffee or your tea or whatever it is, and you just go, and that's your space. So you know, you don't need all these like huge epic rooms or anything. It is really about, you know, tapping into yourself. What do you need that is going to support you for that hour, for that day, whatever it is. And that kind of like little ritual that you can give back to yourself is, I think, it's super important, you know. So, you don't need a room, but I guess living with other people doesn't allow that OCD to really rise.
No.
You
You just go, well, if you three are going to be slobs, I'll join you too, because otherwise I'll go mental.
Well, otherwise, what are you doing? Yelling.
Yeah.
Getting agitated.
Yeah.
Stress goes up. Life is pretty crap. So
pointless. Yeah.
It is pointless. Yeah.
Yeah. So our house, I mean, it to me sometimes feels very, very homely. Other times it just drives me absolutely bonkers. Like we've got a room out the back that you are not allowed in, because it's become a dumping ground. I don't know what I said to the family last night. I'm like, what is going on here? It's like, I think when you start to put something down, it's like on a kitchen bench. You put some mail on the kitchen bench, all of a sudden it has babies, and it just produces this pile of shit.
Yeah.
It does my head in. But anyway, so one of the other things that I wanted to ask you, do you have 5 tips on creating a functional space? Are there 5 elements that if you do them, they will guarantee work? I mean, decluttering is one of them, obviously.
Definitely. Yeah. It's got to be a starting point, I think, well, to anything. So decluttering is it's a really, really big thing. So there's a really kind of cool process that you can go through for decluttering as well. I mean, I could talk about that for an hour. Like it's like some weird kind of like nana passion of mine. And so, but you start out with like big piles and then eventually just becomes smaller and smaller. And then eventually you get to the point where you're like, that's what's important to me. So that's what I keep.
Gosh, no wonder you could go into a van. Really? And you actually identify the absolute important things.
Yes.
It'd be easy just to move into a van or
Or it could go the other way and your van could get very cluttered very quickly,
true.
which is something that I'm going to battle with. But
true.
Yeah, that would just be an epic adjustment. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think when I moved I moved from like a big farm with a big house, and then I moved into like a 2-bedroom villa and thought, I was like patting myself on the back, just thinking, you're amazing how you decluttered. Yeah, no. That didn't go quite as planned. So definitely decluttering, one thing. And then the second thing to understand functionality is you literally have to understand yourself. So who lives in the house? So let's take your household, for example. There's you, and then there's another adult human, and then there's 2 teenagers. And you have a cat, don't you?
2 cats,
You have
a
2
dog,
cats and a dog.
fish.
Okay. So you've got some pets. And so each of those individuals have requirements. And you will each get ready in the morning differently. You'll each, prepare for your day differently. You'll go through your day. So you have a lot of, there will be big chunks of like collective kind of things that happen in the home. But then there's also individuals. So you really need to understand yourself and understand how your family operates. And I always expand family. So family for me is not just your immediate family. It's also other people who are important and part of your life. So if you have like regular guests that come over, do you have grandparents, et cetera. So thinking about not only the immediate people who live in the home, but expand that out as well, particularly if you do have other people or animals or whatever coming into your home on a regular basis. So you want to be thinking about that and how that kind of all operates on a daily basis. So, yeah.
Okay, so my family, my 2 kids like to operate out of a floordrobe.
Floordrobes are great, aren't they?
Oh, they're fantastic.
I've
Do we
never
keep
had one.
those or do we get rid of those?
I have never had a floordrobe.
Oh,
No. They need to obviously declutter their wardrobes.
yeah, they did that the other day. But
Yeah.
clearly there's some space now in their wardrobe. Anyway,
Yeah.
so what did we get through? We had declutter. We had working out how people function through their mornings and getting ready.
Yeah, so understanding who you are.
Yeah.
5 off the top of my head. I'm like, where would I go from here?
what about some just basic things like painting a wall, like making it whiter and lighter and brighter? Like, do those things come into it?
They would play like a supporting role. So that to me is kind of like once we've worked out the functionality of the space, then that's the supporting kind of design elements that come into it. So, yeah, I mean, definitely like if you're wanting, and it really all depends. So there should be a disclaimer note here. Really all depends on where you live and how much natural light you've got and, it's so many other variables that come into it. But, yeah, paint can definitely like immediately just change a space. Yeah.
Wow.
I know. I watched your little video.
Oh,
on that.
Yeah.
For those of you that are listening and not watching the YouTube and didn't know we have a YouTube video podcast as well. So definitely jump on there and check it out. But yeah, we just converted one of Kylie's bedrooms into our little office studio. And we just basically painted a wall and put some pictures up. Yeah, put some
And there you
pictures up.
go.
That was it.
Yeah.
But it looks fantastic, I have to say.
Thank you.
Yes.
It does make a difference just putting a lick of paint up.
It really does. Yeah, it can immediately change a space. And it's one of the easiest things to do.
Yeah. I think we went to we decided, then we went to Bunnings and then we came back. We did it right then and there and you stayed.
In a day?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hours.
Yeah.
Quick as. I mean, it's not professional, but it's
Looks pretty good to me.
it does the job. It's good.
It's a lovely backdrop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're pretty proud of it.
Yeah, you
Pretty
should
proud of
be.
it. Yeah. And actually when you said, oh, I'm really excited to come to your studio, I'm like, oh. Well, it's a wall.
It's a wall.
This is how you start a podcast, though. Give us a few years and you'll see us in our own building.
Right. Warehouse.
Our own warehouse.
Totally. There you go. Yeah. So I'm pretty excited to be here right at the beginning.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
Definitely. All right. So, Kathryn, where can everybody find you? If they want to go on and they want to do this challenge, they want to submit their photos, or they want to find you on social, or just get in contact with you, how do they do that?
Yes, cool. Okay, so I have done the right thing, I believe. So across all social media platforms, but I'm mostly on Facebook and Instagram. And you can also find me on Pinterest, which I do have a little course coming up on how to use Pinterest. But so Trentini Design. So very simple to find me. And my website, trentini.com.au, that is pretty much my entire professional portfolio where people can go and have a look and find out some more information about me, I guess.
That's amazing. Well, I think we'll definitely link that in the description down below. So if you guys are looking to go check Kathryn's work out, definitely follow that link.
And I can see that you're going to be taking a photo of the van and you'll be submitting that. Which is a great.
Do.
Yes.
I will.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, Kathryn, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure having you in here. As much as I was having little heart palpitations when you were like an interior designer coming into my front door. Like,
I know. Classic welcoming it into a home. Don't look.
All right. Well, thank you. And until next time.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it.
Welcome. So we hope you enjoyed today's episode, and remember, if you got something out of what we discussed today, please hit the follow or subscribe button so you don't miss an episode. Also, it would mean the absolute world to us if you gave us a rating to help us grow. We look forward to bringing you more, but until then, go live your best life.